Welcome to Mystical Dispute, the limited Magic the Gathering debate podcast. I'm Garrett Gardner, aka G-Guards.
And I'm Carl Chase, aka 2duck-cubed.
You can catch us co-streaming drafts together on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gguards on random weeknights, or watch the draft replays on our YouTube on the Mystical Dispute channel. And of course, thank you so much to our Patreon patrons. And today, we are going to debate Intrepid Tenderfoot, Flight Deck Coordinator, and Tapestry Warden versus...
Not freaking playing those cards?
Exactly, Carl. And as a reminder, Intrepid Tenderfoot is 1 in a green for a 2/2 insect citizen. You can pay 3 and put a +1/+1 counter on it at sorcery speed. Flight Deck Coordinator is a 2 and a white for a 3/3 human soldier. At the beginning of your round step, if you have 2 or more tap creatures, gain 2 life. And Tapestry Warden is 3 and a green. Are you seeing a theme here, Carl?
Yeah.
For a 3/4 robot soldier with vigilance, and it does something with toughness. It's basically a 4/4 for 4, and that's it.
So let me get this right. You've got a 2/2 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
You got a 3/3 for 3.
Yes.
And you've got a 4/4 for 4.
That's right, Carl.
If this isn't the most G-Guards episode I could possibly imagine, I don't know what is.
Well, Carl, let me explain myself a little bit in this corner.
Opening takes.
Carl, I can already feel the heat. I'm going to get roasted for this one, just like I always do, and I'm ready for it. It's fine. You can come for me. You know, one of probably my favorite episodes that we've ever recorded, I defended Tavern Swindler, which is a 2-mana 2/2 back in Streets of Capenna. That's years ago now, Carl, by the way, like multiple years.
By the way, people still bring that up all the time to this day. You and Tavern Swindler are locked at the hip.
And I stand by exactly what I said in that episode, which, by the way, was never that I liked Tavern Swindler. It was never that I thought it was good. In fact, it is bad. And likewise, these 3 creatures are bad. You should try to not play them. My take is that sometimes you still have to, and you don't have to feel bad about it, okay?
Cheating on your wife with Tavern Swindler. I knew it.
I mean, these guys are effectively vanilla 2-mana 2/2, 3-mana 3/3, 4-mana 4/4, and I'm not advocating you play them, but like, there's more to a game than playing the best cards. We're playing a game where we're at the mercy of the cards we open. And I don't know about you, Carl, but I am constantly battling with the mercy of the bad drafts that I have to then play for over an hour of my life. I'd like to think that I'm doing it in a way where I'm getting the most value I can, right?
Garrett, I know that your argument is under the guise of finding ways to make the drafts that don't go well playable and a deck that just functions, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
But I know what this is really about. This is all part of the Make Grav Kill Better conspiracy. And I know what you're up to, Garrett. We had a whole debate where I told you exactly why I didn't think Grav Kill was as good as it possibly can when you know what it is good against. Creatures like Tapestry Warden. That's exactly what it's good against. And you are just trying to get people to play even more of those to make your precious little Grav Kill look even better.
You got me, Carl. But I'm going to use the next 20 minutes to explain all the ways that I have thought to effectively make people play these creatures so that I can actually get some value with my Grav Kills. No. I genuinely believe this. I really, truly do. And again, I don't like these fucking creatures. I don't like them. But you still play them. I mean, there's a difference between liking something and, you know, dealing with it.
Well, let's see how your precious borderline vanilla creatures are helping people win games in... Oh, I get to do it again?
Yeah, you get to do it again, Carl.
Data crunch.
I'm really enjoying passing the torch to you and watching you grow and learn and figure out the ways of the data crunch,
I still have a ways to go. I think I'm not as good as you yet.
You'll get there. All right, Intrepid Tenderfoot, it's, you know, a 2-mana 2/2, it gets counters or whatever. Its game in hand win rate is a nice, boring 54.3%, right in the middle of the average. Flight Deck Coordinator, the white 3-mana 3/3, is a 54.2%, right in line with that one. And then finally, Tapestry Warden is a even more underwhelming 53.5%. So these cards are all right below the average line, which generally means probably you should try to avoid them. I mean, I guess, Carl, you've made some cases for some low win rate cards in the past. These guys are right in the middle of the line. I feel like that's actually more dangerous. That's the most dangerous place a card can be, is right in the middle, as it means it is boring, crappy filler, and it doesn't have some secret potential that can boost it up if you know what you're doing with it.
Well, you're right about the fact that the cards are more boring, and so it's harder to make, a card good with synergy, right? There's cards that have low win rates, like Weapons Manufacturing or Terra Symbiosis, which have really low win rates, but are borderline constructed playable if you've got the perfect scenarios around them, and you could kind of go off. If you could sacrifice artifacts, you could do repeatable 2 damage with Weapons Manufacturing. If you put a ton of +1/+1 counters and creatures, you could draw a bajillion cards with Terra Symbiosis. Meanwhile, when you're looking at essentially a 3-mana 3/3 that maybe gains a couple life, 4-mana 4/4 that maybe makes a couple other mediocre creatures a bit bigger, it's harder to combine them with other cards to make them significantly better than their win rate.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean there isn't a plan that does make them actually quite a bit better than their win rate. And Garrett, while I will give you credit, I do believe that when you are putting these cards in your deck, they're likely going to play out significantly better than their very low win rates, because you do have a plan associated with that. So, like we've done many times before in Mystical Disputes history, yes, you have to have a plan to play vanilla creatures. Because if you've got some big rampy green deck, and then your finisher is Tapestry Warden, well, guess what? You just spent a bunch of mana to ramp up and play a 4/4, and that don't work.
All right, who's poisoning the sanctity of data crunch now, Carl? It sounds like you are already in fighting spirit. So let's move ourselves to...
Debate it.
I feel like I just have to put disclaimers every 5 minutes, but stop me if I'm doing it too often.
I will be happy to stop you if you say something stupid. That is my job, and I take it very seriously.
I want to make sure that it is crystal clear that I understand modern Magic is different. I understand I come from a boomer age of Magic where big creatures and removal were how you did things.
Hold on. Whoa. I'm stopping. I know you're mid-rant. I'm stopping you. You don't come from a boomer age. You are a Magic boomer. Say it with me. My name is Garrett Gardner, and I am a Magic boomer.
My name is Garrett Gardner, and I am a Magic boomer.
Okay, good. Now that we got that out of the way, continue.
It took me how many years and an actual podcast with you to finally drill this into my head, by the way? The fact of the matter is combos, rares, synergy, having a plan that isn't necessarily curving out and removing creatures, and making tokens, ramping into bombs, having crazy small curves. That's how you play limited these days. But it's not how it's always going to go. And people call me a pessimist a lot, Carl, and they're right. It's just how I think about the world.
End of point.
End of point. No, but I think that when people talk about limited, they talk about Magic, they're always like, oh, this is how you draft an A+ deck, or this is how you draft a B+, or you make your B- into a B with this synergy, and you can go off with this, and oh, there's an infinite combo in here. Blah, 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 blah. That does not always freaking happen, does it? I can't tell you how many drafts, how many pods I've been in where the actual cards themselves are just lower power. I mean, it happens probably even more in the Play Booster era now, where there's these insane top-end rares. And then there's just this filler commons, which a long time ago, those filler commons would be perfectly fine to put in your deck. And now, I don't know, these 2-mana 2/2s and 3-mana 3/3s, they suck. They just absolutely suck to put in your deck. But sometimes it's all you get. Maybe you got bad signals, maybe you got bad packs, but it's just all you get. And you still have to work with what you've gotten. And it's just like you can't just play out the draft and then erase it from your memory, Carl. It's still there. It's looking back at you from your game history, that 1, 2, 3 drafts every 10 where it just didn't work out, right? So why not talk about it, and why not, I don't know, defend it?
I think you and I have very different approaches for when a draft starts to go wrong. Your approach is to put power onto the battlefield and try to beat down, because you can always get a creature that has reasonable power and toughness late in a draft these days.
Yep.
And that is one way to beat decks that are doing bigger and cooler things. I can't tell you how many times I've had a deck that I thought was the coolest thing in the world, and next thing I know, I'm losing to just a curve out of a bunch of actually pretty bad creatures. But guess what? They curved out, they played creatures, they removed mine, and that plan still works. My strategy when a draft doesn't go well is more trying to find crazy upside in bad cards. I am much more likely to try to pair like Bygone Colossus with Full Bore and create a 12/11 haste trample creature.
Right.
I am the proud owner of a 100% game-in-hand win rate of Bioengineered Future in 5 total games. I won all 5 of them where I drew it. That card has a 43.8% win rate, but I am damn proud of making that card work in my deck.
This is so accurate, Carl. I hadn't actually thought about it before. I try to salvage drafts by being a boomer, and you try to be a mad scientist, a truly mad scientist cackling at the top of a rainstorm.
Exactly.
And yeah, I think that works for you. But Carl, I don't like the rain. I don't like getting wet. I like staying nice indoors, cozy with my boring vanilla creatures and my vanilla ice cream, watching, I don't know, Gilmore Girls or something.
By the way, the trick on Bioengineered Future is to pair it with you Social Engineering. And when you play a land and the trigger for the 2/2 when the Social Engineering comes into play, you sack the lander in response, and then both of your 2/2s come into play as 4/4s. That's the trick. Anyway, continue.
Sigh. Well, you get the point here. We take different approaches when things go south, and I respect your approach, but I disagree with it, Carl. I think you're wasting win points by trying to go mad with your 9-mana 9/9s when you could just pick from the bottom of the barrel garbage bin of the 11th and 12th picks in your draft. Actually, that makes a point for me, which is that I don't even think you need to draft differently to get the most out of these cards, because you just get them anyway. I mean, you get them out of packs where there's literally no other cards in your colors for them. And they sit in your sideboard staring at you, looking boring. But I think in those circumstances, Carl, you go the mad scientist route. I go, let's curve out. This is a pile. I've drafted a pile. It is unfortunate. Perhaps it is my fault in some degrees. Maybe it's out of my hands. But I still have to make something of it. And the truth of the matter is that having a deck with synergy, powerful combos and stuff like that, that's always going to be better, but it's just not sitting and staring back at you. So what is the next thing you can do? Curve out and hope they stumble, have a solid, reliable curve, and do your best, and maybe you can get that 2-1. Today, on our YouTube, we played a deck pretty similar to this. It was just removal and creatures with a bunch of C- level vanilla dorks, and we trophied. It was a little bit of luck. It was a lot of great play, but it was also just all we could do with the draft, I think.
I am pretty confident that if we paired your worst draft decks against my worst draft decks, and we played 100 games, you'd probably win about 98 of those, because I have made some truly, truly unplayable garbage in my drafting career. Really, really bad stuff. Occasionally, even non-functioning decks. I'll have some grand theory about, maybe some card that you can end up playing 10 lands because you could search your bunch of lands, and then I do that, and then I get all this value by getting all the lands on my deck. I got all spells, and then I realize none of my spells remaining in the deck do anything, and this deck doesn't function. I've done stuff like that. That's not beyond me.
I feel like I'm allergic to doing something like that. And still, though, I would be embarrassed to show you my worst decks. I actually, at the end of the format, Carl, this sounds like a very fun challenge. Let's find the worst draft deck that we have built all format and play against each other.
I
already know what mine is.
I guarantee you your worst decks are going to be better than mine. But on the other hand, I do think it's probably more of a fair matchup. I have also created some very, very, very good borderline unbeatable decks as well, because I have done the mad scientist sort of stuff at times. Plus, there is great social media value out of that when you post some deck list that looks like it makes absolutely no sense, and I'm I 7-0'd with this, and people are like, oh my gosh, I don't understand, and it's okay, perfect. Good for content.
Nobody's ever excited when I beat down with Vanilla Creature's card.
No. Nobody was like, oh, okay, Garrett.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I don't care.
Garrett played creatures and removed them. All right. Next.
And I just want to take a particular shout out right now for Tapestry Warden, which is the vigilance creature that makes like all of your creatures attack like with their toughness and station with their toughness instead of their power if you want to. That card sucks and it doesn't synergize. It looks like a card that would synergize in this format. Like, oh, maybe there's like a 2-mana 0/8 or something like that. Nope. None of that exists. It's just a terrible card. It happens to be an artifact, which is kind of useful, but in general, it's worse than that. It actually specifically is a non-bow with other green cards. Like Close Encounter will only do 3 damage from your Tapestry Warden, because that's how much power it has, for instance.
You don't get the bonus from Diplomatic Relations if you play it on the Tapestry Warden. It's still a 4/4.
With Vigilance. Just truly like why it's like it fell and it got lost in this set.
I'll give you credit, though. It does have the nice bonus of making your 1-mana 1/2s like Slag, Drill, Scrapper, and Gene Pollinator turn into 2/2s as opposed to 1/2s, which is a decent bonus that could be relevant, especially on an alpha.
Sure. It also has Vigilance, which is sometimes a downside because you want your creatures to be tapped at end of turn a lot of the time. It sucks, man. It's just a bad card, okay? I understand that.
I forgot about that, too.
I played a deck with 3 of them in it, Carl, and I would do it again, okay? Not because I want to, but because I feel like I have to in order to get the best out of this stupid card.
Not because I want to, but because I'm stubborn and resistant to change.
That's not what I'm saying. I showed you this deck and you'd be like, yeah, I guess I'd build it that way too. This guy.
I'm having way too much fun with this.
This is okay, it's a little bit of a goofy episode. All right, let me be honest with you.
This is not the thing we submit to the Journalistic Institute of Podcasts as some of our more put together and finer work.
All right. Well, listen, I actually do truly have a point here, though, Carl. I've already made about 50 disclaimers. Here's where I say that you play these cards. So you're at the end of your draft. You drafted like blue-green or something like that. You took a Mechan Assembler pretty highly, thinking you were going to get a bunch of lander tokens, you were going to get a bunch of artifacts, and you were going to make a bunch of 2/2s. But you just have like 3 or 4 artifacts total, maybe 1 lander token. You've got the green spell that makes a lander and you gain 2 life, something like that. Now, you could try to get a little bit of shitty synergy, right? You could go for your deck trying to do the thing that the uncommons or commons are telling you want to do. Play a bunch of artifacts, go off, do this combo, whatever. But it really isn't going to be great. It's just going to be a couple random synergies here and there. Or you could look through the dregs of your draft pile and you could find, well, I've got this 2-mana 2/2. I've got this 4-mana 4/4. If I put those in my deck instead of all these enablers for this Warden or whatever build around uncommon that just didn't make it there, this is the situation where I'm like, well, I'd rather do that because at the end of the day, Magic is still a random shuffle deck. Your opponents could stumble. You could just have a good matchup against what they're playing against. Also, it does lend a little bit better towards my playstyle if I'm going to be taking removal highly, because the best thing for removal isn't just like, oh God, I've removed their threat, but it's remove something and then attack with my 2-mana 2/2, 3-mana 3/3, and 4-mana 4/4 all at once. So Tapestry Warden, like, I'm not trying to build around it, right? Like, you can't build around it. But I am trying to just play a 4-mana 4/4 with Vigilance and beat down. And I think that is better than trying to cobble together some kind of minor synergy, which is never going to face well against, especially you get to the finals in a draft or something like that, and somebody just has the deck that's going to go off. The way to beat that deck is not by being like, oh, I sacrificed my little relic and I drew an extra card with 1 combo. It's like, no. I don't know why you talk like that right now, but it is actually to curve out and beat their teeth in with a nice, solid curve. And honestly, this is where Biosynthetic Burst is probably at its best. Because you're going for a little bit higher variance, and you just need that trample to push those last pieces over. And I'm not talking about an aggressive deck here either. I'm talking about just like a normal, mid-range, solid curve, removal in creatures deck.
So take away any upside that you had and assumed with intent in Garrett's argument here and just make it really even more vanilla than that.
Exactly. I mean, I'm still saying be aggressive. I just like be aggressive in the context of a format where people are playing 7 mana artifacts that you need to tap your whole board to, you know what I mean? Like,
Garrett. So as much as I'm having fun just sitting here being the peanut gallery and piling on, and believe me, I am having a lot of fun with that, I actually do have a point in your defense here.
Okay, all right. Throwing me a bone.
Yeah. I mean, people are just gonna eviscerate here. You obviously, so I mean, it's not even like what. My point's good. My point's solid. So I'll help you out a little bit, I guess. One of the most important things to generating wins in Limited is having good power and toughness per mana that you spend, and even cards that look like they do a lot more than simply a vanilla body if they have overcosted bodies, and Mechan Assembler is the perfect example of this. It's a 5-mana 4/4 that can make robots every turn, but it's got pretty poor win rate overall.
Yep.
That really, really takes away the value. Now, that can be easily made up for if you add some value when it comes into play, right? Codecracker Hound, 3 mana 2/1, but it can actually draw cards twice, which makes up for the fact that a 3 mana 2/1 is a pretty terrible body.
But wait, can I interject here for a second? You're saying that a 3 mana 2/1 is a pretty terrible body, but it's worth it. But what I'm trying to take advantage of, and it's a long shot, I admit, but that's exactly the type of thing I'm trying to take advantage of. Like someone just playing a 3 mana 2/1, and then it's like, okay, well, my 3 mana 3/3 can still attack through you. Or maybe they even play it for the warp cost because they really need that synergy. And if you have a curve out deck, you're going to beat them in that game.
Are you going to let me finish making your point for you, or are you just going to come in and take it for
Carl,
me?
I can feel the Inquisition around me. I need to be on constant defense.
I know. You do. That's correct. If your deck is low on synergy and you're trying to do a bad version of Mechan Assembler, the difference between a 5-mana 4/4 and a 4-mana 4/4 is absolutely enormous.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the difference between turn 4 and turn 5 in Limited right now is huge. And so getting your 4/4 down on turn 4 and then playing your removal and beating through on turn 5 versus turn 6, you get my point. It matters a lot. So if your primary plan is put power on the battlefield, then remove creatures and get through for damage, the power and toughness ratio really, really matters, and it's extremely unlikely that sacrificing for a mild amount of synergy is going to be worth it, because you're kind of the beatdown in that situation against a lot of the top-end decks.
So, Carl, what you're saying is I should have let you finish?
That's what I'm saying, yes. I'm not going to say anything else nice about your point the rest of this episode now, just for that.
I mean, you weren't going to do that anyway, but I do appreciate the backup. To even it out, I could make a point against myself, which is that this isn't fun necessarily. But it's fun for me. I love curving out. But like, you're mad scientist, like, oh, my draft went off the rails, I'm going to play this, 9 mana 9/9. I think a lot of people think that's more fun. I don't know why.
I mean, you literally work for EDHREC.com. The most popular Magic format is Commander, where people can go and do crazy things with high synergy cards. And here you are talking about vanilla 4/4s. For shame. For shame.
Carl, I like what I like, okay? This is born this way and I can't help it.
There's got to be some commander deck that's just like do a vanilla thing that's boring. I don't know.
I think there is like a commander that's all about vanilla creatures. I should look into that. Maybe I'll finally play some commander. The point still stands, Carl, and I think I'm not completely alone. I'm not like the only person playing these 3 cards. But I do think that automatically you look at them and you're like, wow, this deck is terrible. Like, you should just not play them. That's what I'm railing against here. That's what I'm trying to argue against, is like, no, I think that you can put these in your deck with a plan. It's not going to be your first choice plan, but like second choice, third choice is still better than just giving up. Like, you still can have a plan with flawed pieces. And the chances are you still got a couple cards that are worthwhile. So if you can just survive or hope to draw those bombs more in these drafts, like, this is the more realistic way of getting the game to a state where you can get to those bombs as well.
Well, before we put literally all of our listeners to sleep thinking about 3-mana 3/3s, we should probably do something a little bit more dynamic in closing arguments. What do you say?
Fair enough.
Closing arguments.
All right, Carl, what did you have in mind then?
Well, I really need to drop the hammer on your terrible, boring plan here to finish out the episode, Garrett. While I agree with you that it's important to know how your deck can succeed, you need to know whether you're aiming to win as fast as possible in the mid-game or in the end game. And if your deck simply doesn't have the tools to compete with other decks in the end game, well, you sure as heck better have a plan to win in one of the two other phases of the game.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, and here comes the hammer.
All right.
One thing that you don't want to do is lose hope too early in a draft.
Yes.
Because it can be easy to just kind of fall into this plan if maybe early on you took a couple cards you really liked and you can't get the cards to support that. But I think it's important to keep your mind open as long as you can over the course of a draft to try to figure out what's possible. And then, and I do think I'll give you the credit, one of the benefits of your plan is if you kind of get into that mid of pack 2 or so and it's really, really bad, maybe that's when you can start to transition into just being as realistic as you can and having a functioning deck. But don't lose your optimism, don't lose your whimsy, don't lose your potential too fast, and try to at least think of what is possible early on in the draft. And actually, I do think, I am staring directly at you when I say this, Garrett, I do think you could benefit a little bit about trying to keep that mind open just a little bit longer in draft. But then again, you usually don't make completely unplayable garbage like I do, which occasionally, so.
I mean, I can totally agree with that, and I think that's probably where I'm going to land on this debate, which is this isn't so much a drafting mindset, it's a deck building mindset once you look at the cards that you actually have. I feel like you're right. You shouldn't lose hope. You should try to do the powerful synergy combo thing, and you should keep trying to do that. Maybe, you still pick up the 4-mana 4/4 instead of some really out there common or something like that. That might be synergistic. But mostly, you've got to do this at the end when you're looking at the pile and you're like, well, can I really get a lot of value out of this? Can I really do the thing, quote, do the thing? Or should I just take all those 11th pick dorks and curve out with them and try my best with them?
And that's why it is nice to have just, like you said, 11th pick. I mean, literally, you could take some like 11th, 12th, 13th pick. You can take just bodies that function in case your deck goes poorly.
Yep.
It's usually not a bad idea to have that available to you in deck building in some form or fashion.
So basically, Carl, you agree with me that vanilla creatures are great and they're really good, and 2-mana 2/2, 3-mana 3/3, 4-mana 4/4s are the best. That's how we're ending this episode, right? Yep. Okay. That about wraps it up. So thanks for listening to Mystical Dispute. You can support the show on Patreon. I'm Garrett Gardner. You can find me at twitch.tv/gguards.
And I'm Carl. I hang out with Garrett sometimes.
Shout out to 17 Lands for the data. You can support them on Patreon as well. And also shout out to Mike P, who inspired this conversation on the episode in the Mystical Dispute Discord. You can join my Discord and come hang out and talk Mystical Dispute over there. Until next time, stay chill and I guess draft vanilla dorks.
Adios. Okay, you can't actually put this in the pod, but what I wanted to say was, I know you're as having being the and
just watch me.